Hey gang, it's the Mechanic Ninja here. Today we are going to be answering the question, why is my snowblower not starting? We are going to track down all the things that could be making it not start. We're going to start at the basic and go to the difficult. First off, I want to go over how to start a snowblower. We're going to start at the basics. This snowblower is an old Craftsman 5 horsepower 22-inch 2-stage snowblower. There's a lot of these still around. They are pretty old, but they last. They have a Tecumseh engine on them, 5 horsepower Tecumseh engine. If you have one of these and it's not starting, I'm going to go over everything you need to know. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so to start this machine, you have this lever right here. This is your accelerator. You want that to be all the way up in the run position. This here is your choke. You want to put it on full choke, turn it to full choke. Underneath here is your kill switch. Make sure that is pushed in that way, all the way, or it will not start. You want to give it a couple primes, 1, 2, 3. Make sure that your finger is covering that hole, and you want to give it a pull. Mine is obviously running good, but if yours does not start, then obviously there's a problem, and we're going to dive into that. So I'm going to act like this one is not starting. First thing that you need to do is look at your spark plug. What we want to do is pull off your spark plug wire right here. It is a 13/16. It may be different on yours. Some different models take different size spark plugs. Pull up your spark plug, see how it looks. This one is filthy. It's definitely due for a spark plug replacement. We'll go ahead and take a look at that. Okay. First thing we want to check is if this thing is getting spark. Easy way to do that. Leave your spark plug out like this. Hold on to it right here. Let me move you guys so you can see it better. I really want you to see the spark that you need to have. Okay, that should do it pretty good. And then you're going to pull start it. Hold it like this. And, excuse me, make sure this is on the run. Okay, do you see that? See that blue spark at the end of your spark plug? Okay, so on this one, I know that I have good spark. If you are doing this and you do not have any spark, first thing you want to do is replace the spark plug. Take the spark plug, go to the auto store, and have them replace it. Come back and do the same test. Okay, and when you're tightening these, putting them back in, just want to tighten them snug. Another tool you can use to check spark is the spark detector. You can get this at any auto store. Plug that in that side, put this on your spark plug, and pull. And that light is lighting up. So I know that I have spark. If you have spark, great news. Okay, next thing, we know we have spark. Now we're going to look at the carburetor. 9 times out of 10, it's the carburetor, especially on these old machines. To get to your carburetor, you're gonna need a 5/16 either socket or nut driver. There should be 2 bolts right here. This one only has 1. As these machines get older, somehow they start missing bolts. People take them apart, people lose things. So take out both bolts. If you just have 1, that's fine too. There's 1 up here on top. We've got to get to that carburetor and see what's going on. Next thing, you want to take your flat-headed screwdriver and pop off this plastic knob. Just kind of give it a little push. Be very gentle, we don't want to break this. And then this should be loose. And bring it this way. Push this accelerator down. And be very careful because it's still going to be hooked by some wires. Okay. I can just kind of swivel it around here, get it out of my way the best that I can. I really don't like taking those off. So I'm just going to move it out of my way like that. Let me move this machine so you can get a better look at what I'm looking at here. I'm just going to kind of set it like that. So it's not going to be in my way. It's not going to hinder my work. Okay, I'm going to bring you guys up here. As you can see, this carburetor is nasty, filthy. That's how they get over time. So if your carburetor looks like this, and your machine does not start, you are probably having carburation issues. What you're going to need is a 7/16 and a 3/8 to get this off. The front is 7/16. Usually these are so stiff on here you don't have to put the 3/8 on the back to get them off. But we're going to have that just in case. So go ahead, righty tighty, lefty loosey. So lefty loosey that bad boy off. And keep your nut down here. Okay. And then we have the same thing on this side. Go ahead and get that nut off. Also flip that down there. That's the best spot for it. Okay, you also have a gas line right here, and most people have a gas line shut off over on the gas tank underneath. So come over to your gas tank. There should be an on-off inline shut off. Go ahead and turn it to off because we are going to be dealing with gas today. And then get your pliers, and we're coming back over here. Go ahead and clamp that gas line. Whoever had this machine before me did not do it correctly. The gas line does not go over here. Yours will be coming through here. So best thing to do is turn the gas valve off, get your pliers, come over here. On this side there will be a gas line clamp. You're going to go ahead and take that gas line clamp off. Take the gas line clamp off and then slowly but surely work that gas line off of the nipple. Now it's been on there a while, so it might take a little bit of persuasion to get it off. Usually I use a flat-headed screwdriver to kind of pry it off. Again, like I said, this is incorrect. I'm going to need to feed that through in the correct way. Yours should be coming through there. That is not the way that it comes through over here. It comes through here. So you're going to take it off and then just leave it sitting there, okay? Now that those things are out of the way, you're going to take your open-end wrench, 7/16, and take this nut off. These little nipples, you can just turn it down to get it out of your way. Okay, boom. Just go ahead and keep working at it. If the back of this bolt is turning, go ahead and put your finger on the back and just slowly work that nut off. Okay, got the nut off. The carburetor is loose at this point. Big thing with this is the linkage. You can zoom down there and show you the linkage. Okay. This linkage right here, you want to make sure you get that in the exact hole when you're going to put it back on. So be very careful. Go ahead and mark that Sorry if I'm giving you guys a headache moving that around. Go ahead and grab a Sharpie marker. Or a pen, and just put a mark on the hole that that linkage is in. Pretty simple. Go ahead and mark it. Okay? Now your carburetor is free, so all you gotta do is move it back and forth. On this side, there's going to be one more line to take off, and that is your primer. It hooks to your primer bulb over here. You want to definitely take a good look at that. If your primer line is breaking or cracking or having any issues, it can have a significant impact on your machine with its starting ability. So take a look at that, see if it's cracking or breaking. If it is, you're going to need to replace this line. You can get that at any auto parts store. Mine looks pretty good, so I'm going to leave it. And now it's off. Now these have an S hook. So it comes out, drops, and then goes like this. So what do you do to get that off? Hold up the linkage, turn it like that, and slowly work it off. Okay, now you want to leave that linkage right where it is. Our carburetor is off. Perfect. Okay. Make sure this is in the picture. That's what our carburetor looks like. Next thing you want to do is take out these screws. It's going to let this whole face come off. So take that off. I'll take mine off right here so you can see. Sorry, I just bumped that. Okay. Go ahead and take these screws off. Okay. This is going to come free. Boom, let's set that down. Now you have just your carburetor sitting like this. This carburetor is filthy. I honestly can't believe that this machine is actually running. Okay, so I'm going to teach you guys how to clean a carburetor next. Again, this is a Tecumseh 5 horsepower snowblower engine. This is what that carburetor looks like. Okay, I'm going to bring you over here. Hang on one second while I move the camera. What you're going to need to get is a bucket, like I have right here. Okay. Just got a little 5-gallon bucket with some shop towels in the bottom. What you're going to need next is a wire brush if you have one, and a 1/2-inch socket, either 1/2 inch or 7/16. 7/16. So with your 7/16 socket, throw it on the bottom. Make sure you have it over the bucket, and go ahead and loosen that bolt on the bottom. Okay. What we're going to do, and then you're going to wiggle that float bowl. Just wiggle it loose. Okay, keep unscrewing that. There is a screw in the very bottom of this. Do not mess with that. Let me show you what I mean. I'll bring it up here so you guys can see. See that screw right there? You don't want to mess with that. Only mess with the bolt underneath it. Okay, get that loose. And take that bowl off. If yours is like mine, it's pretty dirty inside. Look how filthy that is. If yours isn't running, it's probably even filthier. It looks like someone put some glue in this because it might have been leaking at one point. So this is what your carburetor looks like. I'm going to set the bowl down and we're going to focus on this part. Okay, here's your float. It goes up and down. Back here in the back side you have your needle that actually lets the gas in and out. What we're going to need to do next is get this float off. So go grab your needle nose pliers. go ahead and grab this little shaft right there. Make sure you keep this. I just put it down here in this bucket so you don't lose it. And then as you're taking this float off, just come straight up. You'll have the needle right there on the bottom. Okay, so your carburetor should look like this. Everything's off it. Now, what I highly recommend is cleaning it. Cleaning the outside. The outside is filthy. We don't want any of that to get on the inside. If you have gasoline, gasoline will work as a great cleaner. I highly recommend getting some carburetor cleaner. That's the best. So I'm going to come down here with a wire brush, or I think mine's a nylon brush. Just spray it with carburetor cleaner on the outside and get the outside cleaned up as best I can on the carburetor and the bowl. And I highly recommend wearing safety glasses. So I'm just going to get right to it. I'll keep my camera there so you can see. Okay, so I got my wire brush. There's a couple tools I want to show you that are very useful in cleaning a carburetor. Get your carb cleaner, obviously. You have a wire brush or nylon brush like this one. You also, if you're getting into doing this to make money on the side, I highly recommend buying these tools. If you're just doing it on your own machine, then you can get by with other things. These are just file tip cleaners you can get at Home Depot by Lincoln Electric. They're just tip cleaners for welding. These are carburetor cleaning files. They're kind of like a pipe cleaner. You can get these off Amazon. If you are doing it at your home, all you really need is to get a pin. Go see if you can steal a pin from your wife's sewing kit, and you can get by doing it with that. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do, we want to clean the outside. I'm gonna spray some carburetor cleaner on it, and you can see how just having it in the spray can does make a big difference. If you don't have any of this, under 10 bucks to go buy some. You can just spray a bunch of this stuff off. If you just have gasoline, I just put a little bit of gasoline in the bottom of this bucket, dip your carburetor in it, and slowly just scrub it. If you have an old toothbrush will do great. Just kind of get all this gunk and stuff cleaned off of it. Scrub it, spray it. Clean it up real nice, Clark. Yes, any of you guys have seen that show? Okay, so clean it up good. Again, you can move that nipple around to get better access to where you're cleaning. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, now you have it like this. What you want to do is you want to take one of your pipe cleaners, if you have one, or just a pin from your wife's sewing kit, and you want to send it up through this main jet. There's a main jet in there. You guys can see it, and send it up through it. Send your pin up through there, or this, and just run it back and forth. Get out any gunk that may be in there. Okay, run that through there, then dip it in your gas, or spray your carburetor cleaner right through that main jet. What we're doing is we're getting out any gunk that has maybe set up in there and stuck up in there and clogged that jet. Okay. Okay, mine's looking pretty good. Next thing you want to do is just take a look around and see if you can see any gunk in here where the bowl. I'm just going to go over it. Any gunk down there where the needle and seat are. Clean all that out. Where the primer bulb gas or line hooks in, spray some cleaner in there. Also over here on the side, you have a screw. Go ahead and pull that screw out. As you pull it out, count how many times it's screwed in so that you can get it right where it is. So, half, 1, half, 2, half, 3, half 4, half 5, half 6, half. Okay, oh, it's still in there. Okay, it took me about 10 full turns to get that out. Here's another jet. Okay, so you're gonna wanna clean this off as well as clean off in there. Let's go ahead and spray your starter or your carb cleaner in there. It'll leak out. Send in your pipe cleaner or your needle in there. You just want them to get any of that nasty stuff off that you can. Okay. Spray it in there again, clean it out. Okay, perfect. Take the needle itself, clean the needle off. Any gunk and stuff that's on that you want to get off. All of that can cause blockages. Go ahead and rub it off like this. Okay, mine's looking pretty clean. I'm going to send it back in. Remember how many turns it took for you to get yours out. Mine was 10. And then send it back in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, perfect. Okay, and I was telling you earlier, mine has been glued. I really don't want to use this because that's just going to leak in the future. Luckily, I had another one sitting around. If you have a bowl with a hole in it, yes, you can get away with having glue in it. Where this isn't going to be my machine, I don't want to have a glue in it. If it was my machine, I would probably leave the glue in it as long as it didn't leak. So go ahead and clean out your bowl. Same way that we cleaned out the carburetor. Use your old toothbrush, or whatever you got, clean it up. Okay, perfect. Now we're gonna look at this. This is what we took out earlier. This is filthy as well. You're gonna notice that down in here, there's also a needle. You wanna clean that out very good. There's also little ports on the side. You wanna clean those out very good. That's where your needle is gonna come in very handy. So send your needle down into those little ports. Just kind of rough things up down in there. And then spray it with your carburetor cleaner or dip it in your gasoline. Another good thing you can do is if you just have gasoline, dip it in the gasoline, spray it off, or blow it off with your air nozzle on your air compressor. You can also do that with this stuff. This stuff sprays it out pretty good. Okay. All right. Now your float. Go ahead and spray your float off. I don't like to mess with the floats too much because they are set. This right here is set to a certain gap. Do not mess with that. Okay, so I'm just gonna put mine back in. Go ahead and flip it over like this. Take your needle and your float and go right back in where it was. It's kind of gonna lean like that and just kind of work it down in like that. Take your shaft, metal shaft, and send it through. You might have to go up and down a little bit with your needle or with your float, but it should go right in just like that. Okay, now take your bowl. As you can see on the bowl, there is an indent. The indent goes as far away from the needle as possible. So the indent's there, it's going to go like this. Just like that. Slide it over, kind of push it down on and in. Okay, you're on like that. Take your needle and go ahead and thread that back in. thread it in by hand. Then take your socket and go ahead. Thread it in like that. Now these are made of brass. You do not want to break them. So bring it in snug, and then that's it. Your carburetor should be back together like this one is. And looking a lot cleaner than it did. Now we're going to go back to the machine. We're going to reinstall it. So let me move the camera so you can see what we're doing over there. One thing you're also going to want to have when you're putting your machine back together is have a shop towel or a paper towel with you so you can clean the gaskets and everything that's going back onto your machine. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. Okay, so come back over here to your machine and you can set your carburetor on the ground. Just make sure it's not dirty. It's going on. You're going to want to wipe off this thing that we took off earlier. Go ahead and give it a quick wipe off. It doesn't have to be perfect, especially when they're this old. They're going to be dirty. So go ahead and just wipe it off and then reinstall it on your carburetor. How to reinstall these? This has a, let's just twist it up. Send it back through that little thing right there. Then bring your screws. Oh, I dropped my screws. Bring your screws back over and send them back in. Okay, that one does not want to stay in there, I guess. Okay. Send them back in. You just want these snug. Yep, just snug is all you want. Okay, perfect. Now you have your perfectly clean carburetor ready to go back on your machine. This face right here, this gasket stayed on my carburetor. Yours might have stayed on the carburetor. It might have stayed on the machine. If it's on the machine, just go ahead and give it a wipe down. If it's not on the machine, still give this surface a wipe down. Spray some carb cleaner or gasoline on your paper towel and kind of wipe that down. You want that surface as clean as possible to get a good seal with your carburetor. Okay, then you're going to want to go behind this and pull the screws out, push the screws out. You want them as far out as possible. It's going to help us out significantly with putting this machine back together. Take your carburetor like this, take the linkage you marked on there which hole it went into, fish it back in like so, and then you're going to install the carburetor back on. Put your fingers on the back of the bolts or you will push them through when you're installing the carburetor. It'll make it very difficult to get the nuts back on. Okay. Now all you have to do is install, put those nuts back on the bolts. That one's on. And then like so on the other side as well. Remember those are 7/16 bolts or nuts. 7/16 in the front, and then the bolt itself in the back is a 3/8. So I usually just tighten these with my hand per se. Put my hand on the back of the bolt, tighten them with my hand just to get them up snug against the machine. And then I put my finger on the back of the bolt, go ahead and start tightening them up with the open end wrench. Get them nice and tight. Go snug and then go a hair more. These ones usually don't have to put a open end wrench on the back because they tighten and grab on their own. You usually won't twist it. Every once in a while you might get a stubborn one that you have to put an open end wrench on the back. Okay, like I said, you want these pretty tight because you're making that seal with your carburetor. Okay, grab your primer line and put it back onto your carburetor. Go ahead and hook back up your gas line. Again, I'm gonna have to reroute mine because the person put it in the wrong spot. Go ahead and hook back up your gas line, easy peasy. Turn your gas line back on. Let the gas flow into your carburetor for a second. And what I like to do, I like to leave this off for a second. When I start it for the first time after I clean the carburetor, I like to leave this off. I'm gonna prime it with this. I like to watch in there and make sure that some gas is actually getting primed. And then you're gonna choke it. Go ahead and do those, push this up and try and start it. It should fire right over. We cleaned it really good. It should fire right over. After that, turn it off. Go ahead and reassemble this. I'm gonna leave mine off because I've got to reroute this. I'm not gonna put that on the video because that is unimportant to getting your snowblower running. Put it back on just like we took it off in reverse, and you should have a great running snowblower. Okay, worst case scenario, if it does not start still. Sometimes these carburetors are so old that it is hard to clean inside internally, deep down where they are actually clogged. That is actually not a big problem. They sell these carburetors online for under $25. What you need to do is just go on there. On the back of your machine, there will be a sticker. There will be a sticker like here. It says the model number. Go online into Google, type in your model number, and then put carburetor after that and push Google. Should take you to Amazon where they offer many different carburetors. Make sure that you look into the carburetors, look into the reviews. Don't go with the cheapest one. It isn't, they usually are not the best. And then look at the reviews. Make sure it's the same as your carburetor. Take a look at it here, compare it to the picture online, and then order it. I've ordered many of those. Sometimes these old carburetors you can't get cleaned perfectly and to run again. Hopefully yours does. If it does not, spend $20 and buy the new one and take off this carburetor and reassemble the new one, and you will have a wonderful running machine and you will bring it back from the dead. If you guys have any questions, put them down in the comments. If you guys could smash the like button and subscribe button, it really helps me out. Appreciate you guys. There'll be more videos coming of different small engines that I work on to help you guys out. Appreciate you. Bye.